Hello and welcome back to the Free Speed Podcast, your go-to podcast for navigating fitness and life with purpose. I'm your host, Tash.
And I'm Cal.
And today we have a different style of episode. If you guys are watching, you will see that we are on a virtual call because we're not together at the moment. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, just know we're doing a virtual call. So if it sounds a little funny, that's why. Calvin's in Austin, Texas.
Go Horns, baby.
How's that?
It's funny because Tash hasn't been to my new apartment yet. And every time I tell her about it, I'm like, yeah, this place kind of, or where I live, just to be clear, is super ghetto. Other than that, I love it here. Like it's nice weather and like you can just exercise. And I think that's the one downside of living anywhere where it's cold is like you're stuck on a treadmill. I had a client do 32 kilometers on a treadmill 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, shout out Cody. I don't know.
3 hours. 3 hours. If you've ever done that, if you've done longer than that, you better tell us. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just happy that it's nice weather and exciting things are happening because both of the teams that I'm working with at Texas, it's the season. Season starts in like 2 weeks.
So yeah, if people are listening to this and don't know what you're doing, what are you doing?
So the reason I moved to Texas in the first place was because after living in the Gold Coast, I knew living in a place where like fitness and like that was like people's priority. And I knew because BPN and endurance and stuff like that I wanted to come to Austin. And then I was also just looking for what opportunities were available. And so obviously because University of Texas is here and it's like the number one funded program and like football team and like they're just a dynasty for sports. So I was like, I want to do the internship and it'll be like a 3-month, 4-month program. And then I can decide if I like Austin and stay longer if I wanted to, or who knows, maybe I'll go back and come back later in life. We'll see. Right. So I got here first week of January and I've been working with the baseball and the swimming teams. So it's been incredible though, because you almost feel a bit of imposter syndrome because you're just like starting out. But then on the other hand, I'm like, this is exactly where I want to be, which is like working with Olympians. Like some of the swimmers that I've been working with are gold medalists. So like, it's hard to like really ask for anything better than being able to like coach athletes that are at the highest level and then seeing how they operate, everything trickles down. And so I'm just excited to use that knowledge and apply it to the people that I coach and like share anyone that I'm talking to, because not everyone gets to see how people like Summer McIntosh or just other great athletes compete and like train outside of like what you see on TV.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're doing long distance again. I am in Guelph, Ontario, Canada, and Calvin's in Austin, Texas. So,
but I got to see you last weekend, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys can tell which tooth is fake, you can maybe guess.
He got his dental implant finally done. It looks good.
But Tash
no more retainer.
But Tash told me. So the one positive is I'll actually be better at speaking, hopefully, fingers crossed, because I used to wear this retainer which covered the roof of my mouth, which made it hard to enunciate certain letters. And like you couldn't really notice it, but you could kind of notice it, and it kind of annoyed me. So that is a one positive. The one negative is Tash goes to me after I get it done and goes, you can tell exactly which one is a fake tooth. And I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. So I'm hoping.
It's just the color. Like it's not that noticeable, but if I put it really close up to my eyes, you can just tell a little bit that it's like almost a little bit grayish. when
Yeah.
like teeth are not usually like gray. I don't know. It was interesting, but it looks good. Like the shape and everything looks good. But anyways, Calvin flew down in the middle of a snowstorm. Um, Luckily, he made it home. And then on the way back, that's another fucking shit show. Oops, excuse my language. I'll probably bleep that out. Um, that I feel so bad for you going back home. Briefly, in like a minute or less, explain what happened.
Yeah. So I was supposed to fly out Monday night because my dentist appointment was Monday morning. Tash drops me off at the airport at like 6 p.m. And I knew like this was not going to go well because I had seen my flight was already canceled, but I was just hoping that they could put me on a new flight. I show up. The guy basically said that they took me off my original flight, even though that one was supposed to keep going, and rebooked me for like some sort of 30-hour adventure with a bunch of cancellations. And like it was just the stupidest thing. American Airlines is a terrible airline. You can keep that in there. Um, Anyway, I somehow had my old boarding pass, which is the funniest thing. The gate agent was an asshole to me. I wasn't even rude. Sometimes I am rude, but like only in specific scenarios where I think they deserve it. Anyway, he basically told me to go home. I just took my old boarding pass, which I don't even think you should be able to do. And I made it all the way through customs, through security, through everything. I got to the gate and it was almost like I was like, oh no. The guy who checked me in was the guy at the gate. And I was like, no, you gotta be kidding me.
No.
I
That's
was
like
like, I'm
that's
so,
like our story when we crossed the border when we drove our car down to California. It was the guy at the border, like when you drive up, he like went inside to interrogate us, and that was the same guy because he
yeah,
wanted to
like
give us a hard time.
you expect it to be someone nicer or whatever. The
Yeah.
guy who literally stopped us, like came in and interrogated us. Anyway, so I'm like pretending like I'm just gonna like kind of disguise and sneak on the plane. I scan it, like big red X's show up, and I'm like, oh damn it. So then, of course, because every flight in all of America was delayed that day, there was a bunch of people missing. So I ended up somehow getting a last minute seat on this like standby on this flight to Dallas. And I thought like the plan was going back to plan. And midair, like 2.5 hours in this flight, the plane, like the captain comes over the radio and goes, yeah, so there's no more room for the flight to land in Dallas. We're rerouting to St. Louis. And the people beside me, you guys would like it was insane. There was some people that were traveling from like Portugal and they had left like 3 days before. It was like they were like, "Oh, thank God we're landing in Dallas." And then we get sent to St. Louis and people were like about to riot on this plane.
Which, if you
This,
guys don't know, St. Louis is like halfway to Dallas. Like it's
yeah.
pretty far. It's not even close. Yeah.
So anyway, they put me that we land in St. Louis and then we get off the plane. There's two people that are taking care of like flight vouchers and hotels. I was the second last row on this flight. So there was about 150 people in front of me in this line, which was like these systems aren't built for it. Anyway, got on the next flight the next morning after staying in St. Louis, and the flight got delayed until like noon. So I got into Dallas at like 1, and I was like, oh, like tons of flights to Austin, like one every hour. Every flight got delayed by like 30-minute increments. So I would go to a gate, it would be delayed 30 minutes, and then another 30 minutes. I did 6 laps of the Dallas airport. If you've never been to Dallas,
It's like the biggest airport in America, I think.
yeah, like
Yeah.
oh, terrible. So I was doing laps of this thing because they kept saying like, oh, like the plane's broken. Oh, we're missing a flight attendant. Oh, like it was just excuse after excuse, and everyone was just like, what is going on? And so finally, at like 10:30 p.m., I was like, fingers crossed, got onto a plane, and we made it to Austin. And I literally I got to Chipotle 10 minutes before it closed which meant life was good.
Yeah.
Life was good. And I was in an Uber and I was like, we need to get there because it is about to shut down and I don't have any food at home. So
Hmm.
anyway, it all worked
So,
out.
lesson for this is what?
Patience. I
Yeah.
think I think the biggest thing that like someone said to me like yesterday, so I started this new personal training job just to make some more money on the side. And he's like, "Why are you so calm?" And like I'm not usually that calm. Like I should never say that about me and I'm like the least patient person. But I think one of the most calculated things I've tried to do recently and I think a lot of people can appreciate like patience is like life isn't so serious. Like sometimes just like watch and I find like the more patient you are, the more respect usually people have for you because you're not so like emotional ups and downs and like say the wrong thing and piss people off and maybe just like sometimes it's better to listen. And I think I've been trying to do that more and not um try and like just like constantly say something.
Yeah.
Do you feel
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah. I think my opinion is too, is that like once something is out of your control, like you need to learn to just let it go kind of thing. Like there's no point in stressing over something that you literally cannot control. Like although your flights got delayed and you had to spend countless hours waiting, there was no point in just stressing over it. Like it happened, like that's what it is. Oh, what's the silver lining? Oh, you have all this extra time to catch up on the work that you needed to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always a silver lining in it. I guess, hopefully, maybe not in every situation, but you just have to kind of learn how to pivot and stay positive in those situations, I guess.
No, I agree. And I think the number one thing too is when things go wrong, you usually have a cooler story to tell.
Yeah, literally.
Like like I was just flying from Toronto to Austin. Like it wasn't gonna be anything crazy. It was still gonna take 6 hours. Like now I have like this weird memory where I was like stuck for like 40 hours trying to get from one place to another. By the way, I was in Dallas and you don't know who this is, Tash, but Roy Williams is like this professional basketball coach, like legendary coach that coached at North Carolina, and he was just like sitting beside me. Like this guy was stuck as well, and it was
That's
hilarious
funny.
because
Yeah,
um, if you don't know who I'm talking about, North Carolina men's basketball for like 20 years. The guy's a legend, but just
crazy.
like the weirdest things happen to you in those moments, and I think like that's where you can like kind of flip it no
Hmm.
matter what, no matter when something goes wrong. It's like just like spin it, tell a better story.
Exactly. So, yeah, we're doing long distance again. And if you guys don't know, we've been together for 5 years. We've done long distance for 4 years because Cal went to school in California at Santa Clara University for rowing. And so, yeah, we stuck that out. We moved to Australia together for a year, made some of the best friends, and made some of the best connections we've ever made, like ever. And then our visa ran out. So we came back home. Cal got this opportunity in the US, and I'm back living at home, which is wonderful, if you know what I mean. I'm saving on rent and I'm just working on my dreams. So, yeah. And I also started a new job, which has been a little bit stressful because it's a role that I've I know how to do, but the sales aspect of that is something very new to me. Like as a coach, I know how to coach well and I know how to lead a good class and be one-on-one with people, but selling, like full on sales is like super, super foreign to me and doesn't feel natural. So I'm just trying to learn from the best in the industry. And my manager is great. He's an ex Olympian too, um, for Team Canada. And then I also work with another guy who's an ex Olympian as well. So like I feel like I'm in the right spot and I'm meeting the right people, making the right connections, it's just going to be a grind to, make it
I'm actually really
successful.
I'm really excited for you to come visit me. I hope you come to like the gym I'm coaching at, because I'm basically doing the same thing Tash is at a different gym down here,
Yeah.
which is like personal trainer. And there's something, and I've heard people talk about this. There's something about Americans, and like there's specific people too, not just all Americans, but like they have this ability to not give a fuck and like be just like good at like sales, sort of like kind of gimmicky roles, but actually genuinely enjoying it. And I
Yeah.
think that there's something about like Australian and Canadian culture that I think it feels it feels forced.
It feels so
But for
forced.
a lot of people it feels forced too. And I think the number one thing that I realize is, even though it kind of feels forced sometimes for me, when you're surrounded by people who like almost make you think about like, why should I care so much? Like it's just like, who cares? It puts you in a better mental spot. And I think sometimes people get so hung up on like just like, oh, but like you really just need to surround yourself with people who put you into a mindset that gets you ready for whatever that is.
Hmm.
And I think it's crazy how powerful that is, and hopefully like you can get that from the people you're surrounded with.
Yeah, that is so true. Because I started this job and I was, to be honest, a little bit just nervous about it because it's at the gym that I've been working out at for the past 10 years. So like I am well immersed in that physical space. But then starting to work there is like a whole nother thing. And I don't know why I was nervous, but it was just a little different. Like I just had to kind of get used to it. But the people that work there are so amazing. My manager is literally the most positive person that you could ever meet. I don't think I've ever seen him without a smile on his face. And I think that learned a lot already just by being surrounded by the right people. And it's crazy like how much first impressions matter. And not only first impressions, but like every impression. Like if someone asks you how your day is going, like if you just say, "Oh, good, how's yours?" Like that's kind of boring. Like you say, "Oh, it's great," you know. I this happened. Yeah, it's life's great, and yeah, I just feel like it's really important to make a good
Well,
first impression.
when you put out good energy, you receive a lot, I think, better energy. And I think so many people like live in these worlds where like you just are like scraping the surface constantly, and it feels empty. And I think that's like what you try and get through and break down. And like even
Hmm.
what I've noticed from just like coaching the athletes at Texas is like, sure, I could go to a training session and be caught up in my head, like thinking like, oh, like I didn't have a conversation with every single athlete. I didn't build as much rapport as I wanted to. Uh I didn't correct everyone's technique, but that's not the point as a coach. I think what I've realized, like working, like when you're a good coach, like when you observe, then you can be more specific and calculated and kind of like adapt in that sense, which is different than like sales, right? Sales is like it takes a certain kind of personality and showing up and being sociable and like just being able to have that initial conversation, but then also like just being a great coach, you don't have to always say something. Like sometimes it's just like just not saying anything, or just like saying like good job, or even just like helping someone put a weight on the barbell, because sometimes you don't realize like it takes a long time to build a relationship. And I think people try and rush that. Is it's like the best salespeople, the best whatever, are consistent and follow up and like remember things. And I think that's the where the details matter. And like you ask someone how they're doing and something about them so that they tell you something about themselves. And then your job is to remember what they told you about themselves. And then next time you see them, ask them about it. And so like I think people are trying to make sales and make a difference so short term when it's like, hold on, you can make an impact on years to come if you just like make it more natural and genuine, right? It takes months and years sometimes, and like you don't have to be a hero in a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just getting to know people is so important. And moving to Australia also kind of opened up our eyes to that and just, yeah, literally getting to know anyone and everyone, like learning their story, what they're doing. Like there are so many things that opened my eyes that I literally had no idea existed before I moved there. Like I didn't know that creating media and content could be a full-time career. Like I didn't think that was possible, to be honest, before I moved to Australia. And now that I've been there and I've seen it and I've seen all this success, whatever you call success, um it's made me want to explore that further. And if you went to business school or took 12th grade economics, maybe you remember the term opportunity cost. And I feel like I'm at the point in my life where, yeah, I am, for lack of a better word, I'm broke. I'm broke as fuck. But I'm willing to take that because I want to be able to explore videography and content creation. I just started my own creative studio and I want to be able to offer these services to people because I just really value storytelling and creating human connections. And I just feel like it's so much more than what people think. And yeah, I'm just so excited for this next chapter, even though like I have every reason right now to be stressed and crying and like low on money and financial problems. Like I'm just trying to see the silver linings and everything. And I'm telling myself that like it is going to work out. It's going to work out. If you've been following my social media, I've been trying to be more consistent with posting. I've been trying to make more like sit down videos that kind of feel uncomfortable at first because I just want to get used to talking to the camera. Because, yeah, we podcast, but like it's a little bit different. I don't know. What do you think, Cal?
Well, I think being able to edit something and like add effects is different than like posting something. Instagram is a very like in your face kind of medium. But what I was thinking when you're talking about that is like the biggest the biggest thing that I've realized is there's a lot of content creators and a lot of people who will push the idea that like you can do anything you want to and like leave your job and like go in all in on something. And I think it's one of the worst pieces of advice because everything in life is relative and you need to be talented or good at something relative to other people. And at the end of the day, if relatively to other people, it takes a lot more time or it's a lot less natural for you to do something, it's going to be really difficult for you to just
Yeah, like
eventually
just excel in
excel
what
at.
you want to do.
And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is like Tash, don't get me wrong, has been editing videos for the last 5 years on Instagram. And like the videos that she used to edit 5 years ago are a lot different than the videos that she edits now and a lot better because of the consistency. And obviously I haven't done the same amount of editing and that, and you could only compare apples to apples if I did do that. But I will never be an amazing graphic designer. Like I will never be an amazing because my passion and my heart doesn't lie there, even though I aspire and I think it's great. I think playing the guitar is a sick skill. I also am not willing to put in the work, and I know what it takes. And I think podcasting gets the same thing. Is there's people who push this like anyone can be a podcast or anyone can start it, but it's like you really have to get feedback that would make you think that it'd be worth going all in on. And I think that's like the most important message is like find something you're good at and then go all in on it. And don't just be blinded by something. And I think, Tash, we've had this conversation about just like being in fitness is like sometimes I think people look at things and I think you really love fitness. Like you love being a coach. But like in terms of what you've talked about and what really drives you is being able to tell a story and being able to showcase that through a media.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you're kind of trying to merge these two because you still love coaching and you still love training. It's not like it's not important to you, but it's not necessarily your number one skill and passion. And
Yeah.
like you need to merge the two together to be ultimately successful because you can care a ton about something, but if you're always going to be a fourth liner in that thing, you're never going to be appreciated for it. And that's the hard pill to swallow. And that's why you got to keep chasing the things that you're good at. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, well said. So, yeah, I'm currently in the phase where I'm just chasing that. And I've kind of switched my mindset from going to, oh, how many views is this going to get? How many likes is this going to get? To how many people can I make an impact on? And I feel like with social media, it's so tricky because it is very like, what's the word? Like analytical. And a lot of people get lost in the analytics of how well their posts are doing. And, oh, I posted this and it's not doing well. And, oh, what should I change? Oh, this hook, I need to change my hook and do this, and post 10 trial reels a day to, get 1,000 views. Like, no, like just post what you want to post and hope that it reaches the right people and maybe it will make an impact on one person and then that will trickle down into everyone else. And I feel like it's a slow journey, but if you stay consistent, it will work out. And my number one goal now is like not really to make money through social media. Like I just kind of use it as a medium to help maybe make an impact on other people. And yeah, from that, maybe one day we could make brand deals and this and that. But yeah, it's an interesting space to be in, especially if you're listening to this and you're from Canada and you don't really like know much about the influencer industry. We've experienced it firsthand in Australia and it's actually like it's crazy. It's crazy how much people make in this industry. It's crazy how much work they do and how much work they don't do. And
But I
it's
think
tricky. Yeah.
the thing that's so cool about the videography and digital side of like how things have evolved is people that are like over 30, over 40, there's not many people who are skilled in this. And so if you're young, you might not realize you have a skill that is not very common. And so that's why like the demand for this and just how social media and the algorithm, that's we live in an algorithm world now where like you end up getting you I think you end up getting benefits from the quality and the effort that you put into it. And so I think like as much as Tash is so humble about like not going all in, and or you're saying you're going all in but not saying like you're gonna make money from it and that's not the purpose. I think one of the things that's special is there's a lot of potential and a lot of opportunity by just like building your personal brand and the brand that you're trying to grow, by trying to help showcase other brands, other creators, other people. And there's going to be a ton of opportunities because that's the way the world's moving. And
Mm-hmm.
as much as like people say like AI is going to replace jobs, like I don't see it replacing creative art, because I think that's like a new art that hasn't been fully appreciated yet, is the art of like editing videos really well.
Yeah.
So telling
And who
stories.
knows, maybe in 5, 10 years, there will be an AI platform that will do some crazy editing. But at the end of the day, it's like a human created that piece of art. And I really appreciate the emotion behind it and making people feel something when they watch something. And that's kind of what I want to offer to brands, athletes, creators, small businesses, is like making people understand the why behind their business, and um, just making them feel an emotion when it comes to their branding, their philosophy, their values, their mission. I think it's so important to portray yourself the right way, and social media is the best way in this day and age to get more customers, get more revenue, get more sales, and whatever, be successful, I guess, in terms of finances. But yeah, it's crazy.
I think the reason ultimately we'll end that segment there, but I think the thing we want you guys to think about is like money isn't always, and probably is not the most important driver,
Yeah.
because it will burn
Yeah.
you out so fast. And we've seen people who that's like a main driver. And I think like I don't even want to be friends with someone who's focused on that, because it's like it's just so pointless.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of time, but also you can just see that things aren't always like perfect, and we just want you to try and take a piece of what we've learned and experienced and then try and apply it in your own life and try new things and seeing something. But
Yeah. And it's crazy because a few years ago, if you would ask me that this is the position that I'd be in right now, I would have been like, what? Like, no way. Like, I went to school for business management. Like, I didn't think I would be now wanting to be a videographer and possibly even go to film school maybe next year or whenever. But yeah, like, just don't stay on the path that everyone else is on just because that's what's expected.
and
Like,
and the irony I'll tell you guys of all of this is, just like social media feeds you what you want to listen to, and like you get put in these echo chambers. Like Tash and I have had a number of people come to us and like say like, oh my god, like I just want to leave my corporate job and do what you guys are doing, as if like we're living the life, the dream. And I think we want to tell you it's like it was a choice that we made because we knew we didn't want to be stuck into something that wasn't giving us purpose. But it's also not like, oh yeah, we're living the best life ever. There's struggles and challenges with everything.
mm-hmm,
And maybe if someone's not financially struggling in a corporate job but mentally struggling because they hate what they're doing, you're you're both kind of coming from different places. And so I think that's the most important thing in terms of like transitioning into like what affects a relationship and what affects your personal life and how you're doing, and like what we've had to navigate is the stressors in your life, right? It could be training, it could be mental, it could be physical, it could be financial. Those are what's going to bring you down. And like if there's one piece of life advice, relationship advice, mainly relationship advice, is like when we are struggling, when our relationship's struggling, it's usually because one of those pillars is causing friction in our relationship. And it's usually the hardest part is, and a great example is Tash and I are both so focused on trying to achieve and get to that next step in life and like land that job, that sometimes you're internal, you're focused on yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I mean by that, is like sometimes that can then affect your relationship and your ability to connect with your significant other, or whatever it may be. And so I think that's just something that's important to remember and think about, is usually it's the stressors in your life. It's the
Mm-hmm.
stressors in your life that are going to uh, really cause you the most pain,
Mm-hmm.
frustration, because you have to prioritize them appropriately.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. And just communication as well. I feel like it all just comes down to communicating how you feel and listening as well. Um, but yeah, that's enough for that segment.
Tashi doesn't want to go into her emotions.
I struggle to talk about my emotions a lot. And I think it's because as a kid, I had a great family, loving mom, still have, sorry, not had. That's kind of sad. Didn't mean to make it sound like that. But I never really like opened up to anyone about how I felt. I always really kept everything inside. And even now that's kind of like trickled into my life as an adult, and I've just been trying to learn how to get my feelings out before it it explodes, right? I feel like there's like a certain point where you can hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, and then you're going to break one day. And I feel like getting your feelings out before it gets to that point is so crucial, but it's also really important for the person on the receiving end to fully listen and understand. Sorry, my
I
mom's
can't hear. I
talking.
can't hear you. I can't hear it.
One sec. Mom! Shh, I'm podcasting. Sorry.
That's that's like a classic. Anyone who just saw that, it's like, Mom, I'm playing Fortnite. Mom.
Mom, I'm playing video games. Go away.
That's too funny.
Okay, sorry.
Wait. Just let it pause. If we leave this in, then it's funny, but we're gonna pause so we could cut it out.
Okay. Okay. Next topic, races. So, I'm super excited for the next few months. If you're listening to this, it's literally like the end of January. I think there's one more day of January. So it's almost February. And we have High Rocks Worlds at the end of June. So Calvin's doing, what are you doing? Doubles with Ollie
Mm-hmm.
and
A solos and then a
solos.
doubles. I don't. I think the solos. I assume the solos is before, but yeah. So I'll do the solos and then the doubles like the next day, I guess.
Yeah, so he's doing two races, and I'm doing mixed doubles with Curtis. So that's going to be super exciting. And I feel like this time around, everything feels different because I don't know, my limiting factor with High Rocks was always the running. Like, I didn't grow up playing sports. I never ran. I just started running a couple years ago, and it's tough. Like running in and of itself is hard, but when you put it together with 8 stations, like, and you're going max effort, balls to walls and everything, it's really hard, especially running on tired legs. So it's been like a long work in progress. And I feel like I've worked really, really hard, and I've done half marathons. I ran a marathon, and then, I did a pro high rocks, and I felt like I didn't perform the way that I wanted to. And I know that it's because my running wasn't at the level that I needed it to be. But fast forward to today, it's like February of 2026, and I'm so confident that like I'm making the right progress now. And I feel like it's because I'm like listening to my body, but also listening to my coach, Calvin, taking my easy runs easy and my hard days hard. And it's crazy because literally until 2 weeks ago, my heart rate on my easy runs, even at like a slower pace, like would not ever be under 160, which is like pretty high, I would say. From our VO2 max test that we did back in Australia, apparently that was still in my zone 2, right, Cal?
160.
Yeah,
Yeah, would have been.
but
Yep.
like a high zone 2. However, recently I was doing my one of my long runs, and I'm like, it something just clicked. Like, I can't explain to you, something clicked, and my heart rate is just now low. Like, on my runs at that same pace, it's in the like 140, 150s, which is like a significant like increase in fitness in my opinion. And I feel like I don't know, it's so weird because one day you're
It's more of
here
an it's an
and then one
adaptation.
day you're here. Yeah, literally an
Yeah.
adaptation, but it happened like that. And it's
But
just
but
like
it's but it's all it's a mixture. No, I think that's the thing is any great coach knows that it depends. It depends. It's like what every sports scientist has ever said to me. It's like, yes, it's one marker that is like saying this is something's changing. But as people know, the older you get, the lower your heart, like your max heart rate is. So your heart rate and zone two will be lower. It's all relative, right?
yeah, I guess
Um,
so.
but
But
what
I truly think though that my body's adapting.
you're feeling fitness
Like, yeah,
changing.
like
Yes.
yesterday I did like a really like like it wasn't that hard. It was pretty hard. The end of it was hard. So I did an 8K like easy run at my zone 2 pace, and then I finished off the last 4 kilometers as like a high rocks kind of style circuit. So I would do a 1K at race pace and then do a 500-meter ski or row. And I did that 4 times, which was like threshold. And if you would have told me to do a 12K run and like, are you tired? Yawning. Um, a 12K run with like some race pace at the end, like I probably would have thrown up and quit like a few months ago. But yesterday, it felt great. And I held paces that I never used to be able to hold. So it's crazy what can happen if you just stay consistent with your training.
And we
Yeah.
only started running. This is like deceiving. Like we only started running in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
which yes and no. Like I've been running my whole life and training, but like running specific. And what I mean by that is muscle adapts 6 times, something like 6 times faster than bone, for those who you don't know, which you might be getting a lot better at running. And what Tash is talking about is she's getting more efficient. Like when you become more efficient at running, your body doesn't require to work as hard.
Yeah.
Then your heart rate can drop and lower so you can go faster. So even though Tash and I have been running for 2 years and seen a lot of adaptations and benefits and gotten faster and more efficient, there's an element to letting your body adapt to the stress and building stronger bones to take the impact of running. And everyone who knows like who has ran knows that when you start it sucks because it hurts a lot and it's a lot of
Hmm.
joint pain and whatever it is. But if you do it properly and you have a coach or you build into it slowly, you can do it safely. And it's not something that is like a year or 2 years. It's like 5, 10, 15 years. And you're still getting adaptations because it, like I said, the bone versus the muscle, it's a combination of the two, which is so important to understand. Is like that's why a lot of people are getting stress fractures and stress injuries because their body might be strong enough, they might be fit enough to run that fast, but are they fueling enough, or is their body healed or healthy enough in a bone density to be able to structurally support them and that volume and that intensity? And that's what I
Yeah.
think the biggest lesson you can take away from this little part is there's a lot of people on social media who, in my opinion, present this kind of agenda or this message that like you can just train for these races all the time. And some of them do it, but likely they don't have a full-time job. Likely they
Yeah.
don't have a lot of other stress in their life. Stress is stress. The body doesn't know any differently. So if you're comparing and you're working 9 to 5 and you're in a relationship and stressed about whatever it may be, finances, whatever, a lot of these influencers don't have that same stress. So they might be able to train and do a lot more. But what I want to let you guys know is sometimes more is less.
Yeah.
Because guess what? I
Less
just
is more.
more is yeah, or more is less, right? And what I yeah, less is more or more is less.
I thought it's just less and more. Less is more. My brain can't comprehend that.
Okay, so what I'm gonna
I
say.
don't know why.
Okay,
I
so
I
Tash,
don't know.
because Tash needs a teacher. So
No,
guys,
no,
get
no.
this.
Okay, okay. This is so off topic, but
Can I? No, no. I need
no,
to
no, no,
finish
no.
this
I need to
thought.
say this. I need to say this because my whole life I've really struggled to understand um
Double
what
negatives.
what is that called when you like two birds with one stone like that, what is that called?
Oh,
like
I don't know. I don't know. I know what you mean. I don't know what that is called. But
so
what? What? Okay.
I've never been
And
able to understand it. And anyways, I was doing a lot of research on ADHD and female autism and like masking autism as a female, especially as adults. And that came up as one of the like recurring things is that you have trouble understanding these like phrases. And I'm not
okay.
saying that I am autistic. I'm saying it could be a possibility
Okay. So
because it
if
runs in the
anyone
family
else
clearly.
struggles with that, yeah, it's worth thinking about.
Anyways, no, but
Anyway,
because
okay. Let me finish what I'm saying. Okay, we'll get back to autism. Trust me. Let me just
okay.
explain this because I think also like there's yeah, like I understand like it might be hard for people um, to understand those things, but I bet you I can make you see this clearly. Training leading into this half marathon I just did, I trained every day, some rest days, took rest days when I needed them, when my body was strained. Took quite a few rest days over the last like 5 weeks building into that
Because
from
Christmas, it
Christmas.
was
Yeah.
like Christmas. We were eating like lots of
Yeah.
sweets. We weren't really like you were
And before
training
that,
hard, but like
and before that, like we were traveling, and don't get me wrong, like my fitness is years and years and years, but like I don't usually train more than once a day. Sometimes I'll take 2 sessions and blend them in one, and I'll like run, work out, and then run after. But usually I only train once a day. And going to the half marathon, I wanted to break 120. And another guy, Luke Hopkins, anyone listening to this probably knows who Luke Hopkins is, trains like 4 hours a day, probably up nearly 20 hours a week for long distance Ironman. So his training is perfectly built for a half marathon race. His fitness and he's been doing it for the last year and a half, like almost as long as I have. Um, and don't get me wrong, like I had years of rowing that was a different stimulus than what he has. And so he might just be still like adapting to that potential. But if you compare apples to apples, sometimes what Tash is saying, less is more. What I'm doing less is actually allows me to still run that fast. And in the flip is he's doing more, but it's actually not maybe doing him as well, and it's giving him less. And that's what I mean is I think a lot of people on social media, the influencers, they push more, 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 more. But it's not about more. It's about giving
Quality.
your body. Philip Collage, one of the most wise things he ever said to me, sports scientist, one of my really good friends, he was on the podcast. He goes, your body just needs to be sent a signal, and you can send a strong signal through training. And then it needs time to recover to adapt to that training. And if you're not adapted and if you didn't recover, then when you start adding more load and more volume and more intensity and more training, you're not actually getting the adaptation from that first signal. So when you start sending all these signals, you're spinning in place sometimes. You spend hours and sacrifice all this time, and it's wasted. And you don't want training to be like that. And that's why there's things I can look at, like recovery metrics and how your body and your heart rate and all these things. And I think that's what people don't realize is the value of coaching, is being able to actually calculated make progress and not do what the influencers do, because it already is going to burn you out just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Right. Because I think 20-hour training weeks doesn't sound enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. It's
There's
crazy.
a sweet spot for
Yeah,
everybody.
it totally depends. Like that might be really enjoyable to him and it might be doable and that might be the training that his coach says, okay, to prepare you for a full Ironman, like you need to be doing this because clearly a half marathon is different than a full Ironman. But you never know. Like maybe overtraining is more common than you think with all
Mhm.
these fitness influencers. And yeah, we kind of see it all the time. It's like Lucy Davis got injured, had to get surgery. Um, like so many people are just getting
Yeah.
injured. Mary McCarthy got like a stress fracture in her tibialis or something.
Wasn't Jake Dearden, something happened to him
Yeah,
last year?
and it's just like I don't love how people like what's the word? Like romanticize this overtraining and training like really crazy amounts because first of all, it's not realistic and no one can relate to that. Second, like you're you're just putting yourself in the hole because you're going to get injured and then you're going to be out and then that's going to take a toll on your mental health and this and that. So, training is really really tricky to balance and that's why yeah, having a good coach is really really important.
And I saw something about that recently, like James, the thing you sent me that James Warnock sent, which was like old versions of myself. And what he was saying is like old versions of yourself would be so knuckleheaded that you stick to the plan and think that you can push your way through something.
This niggle,
Yeah,
yeah.
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 Whereas it's so much smarter just to take a step back, let your body listen to your body, and then a couple days later be ready to then continue versus completely screw up your whole next few months because you're in a boot or whatever it is. And yeah, no one wants that. And I think a lot of people struggle with injury,
Mhm.
big or small.
Yeah, for sure. And it's crazy because I got injured like pretty bad. My sprained my ankle in September, but it wasn't even related to overtraining or anything. Like I just kind of I woke up one day and my ankle was a bit sore. I think at work I had like walked on it a bit weird and I was wearing really flat shoes, which weren't supportive. And then I spent a lot of time that night at work on my feet to the point where the pain got excruciating and I was limping around to the point where it was too far gone. And I guess that could have been related to what you just said is like when I felt that pain, I should have not gone to work.
Mhm.
And
And you shouldn't have been wearing those shoes.
I shouldn't have pushed through it. I shouldn't have done that because then I was out for running for 2 months almost, right? So,
It's tough because
yeah.
Tash wore flat Adidas shoes, probably the least comfortable shoes I've
Stupid.
ever seen.
Okay, but you know why? Because we were in
You have to.
Australia and we moved there, and that was the only pair of black shoes that I
No,
had.
but like
And I was
yes
like, I'm
and
not
no,
buying
but
another
it,
pair
like
of shoes.
fashion is fashion. I
Yeah.
get it. But at the end of the day, like I love my Nova Blast because they're some of the most comfortable
Comfy.
shoes. Do they look cool? No, not at all. They
No,
look kind of dorky.
they look
But
cool with the right outfit.
They
One
look
thing,
they look fine. All I'm saying though is like sure, there's cooler shoes, but like I think that was one of the biggest things that hurt you is you're like there's a lot of uncomfortable shoes.
yeah.
Not good. Not it.
Do not
Especially
recommend the
especially if
Adidas
you're
Sambas for
especially if you're
walking around
standing.
8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
you wanna hit them with a free speed.
Yeah, but I also wanted to talk about my next race.
Oh, okay. We'll do the next race into the free speed.
So, Calvin brought this concept up to me a few months ago on one of the podcast episodes, and he said you should have an A tier race, a B tier, and a C tier race. What does this mean? Well, it's pretty common sense if you think about it. A is your most important and highest priority race that you're training for. And then B and C, like I said, is just going to fall underneath that. So, High Rocks World is my priority. Why? Because I'm spending a lot of freaking money to go there and I don't want to disappoint my partner. So that's why I'm working really hard on my speed and just my efficiency and like running on tired legs just to increase my fitness so we can maybe get like a 1 hour High Rocks time. I'm hoping. We'll see. I have no idea if that's even possible. We'll see. Actually, yes, it is possible, and I will try to make it happen. Okay? That is my mindset shift. B tier race. A little bit less important, but still important. And I think it's a good race because it's at the beginning of May. So that will give me a month and like 18 days to recover from it, which I think should be enough time. And it is the Toronto Half Marathon, and it's the first actually half marathon that I ever did. So it's going to be really fun to do it again and see how much I can improve. Um, and training for a half marathon kind of coincides like with the high rocks in terms of volume because personally I just think like it's a good like number of kilometers to be hitting. Like you don't really need to be running much more than 20 Ks to be good at high rocks. What do you think?
Depends on the level and where you're
Yeah, no, no, no. It
running.
depends on the level.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not
If
talking
you're,
elite.
I
I'm
know,
not
I know,
talking
I know.
elite.
If you're, no, but it depends on how fast you are
Yeah,
currently.
I
Like that's
guess.
what I mean. Like so, if someone is not a great runner, then or like an average runner, then you could benefit from just running, like just doing half marathon training, and that will be your biggest ability to get faster at, or your best ability to get faster at high rocks. But in terms of what I think is like optimal is like between 30 and 50K is probably optimal for the majority
Like
of
for a long run?
30 and 50K a week.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense, obviously.
Oh, I
No,
didn't hear
I'm
you
talking
said for
about
one
like
run, your longest run. Sorry, I didn't. I must
yeah.
have cut out. Uh,
I
no,
was
for
like,
the
"What?"
the longest run,
Yeah.
17 and a half kilometers, in my
Exactly,
opinion.
which is a great number to be training for before your half marathon race. You don't really
Mhm.
need to be running much more than that. Um, but yeah, that is going to be my second race of the year. Or no, it's my first race of the year, but it's the second priority. So yeah, feeling great. My ankle feels like it's fully healed and I'm in a good place. I'm taking my recovery so seriously, stretching a lot, being mobile, doing more stability stuff, and I feel like my body's reacting well. So I'm excited.
And for those of you who are wondering, what is a C tier race?
Oh, sorry.
A C tier race is usually like a side quest from my
Yeah.
experience. So like a C tier race, you're not really training for it. It's something that you do because it might just bring you a lot of joy or fun, or you might be helping out a teammate. Like I have a C tier training run because my client is doing Cody's doing the half marathon or the full Austin marathon in 2 weeks. So I'm going to pace him for that, which is not like part of my training, but I'm going to run a part of that race. Um, and I haven't decided how much, but that would be something similar, or just like signing up for a fun fitness competition like Turf Games, what we did.
Hmm.
Um, or and understanding, I think it's important too, like the difference between A and B tier is going into a B tier race, you're not focused
Yeah.
on an effort because there's levels, and that's what I think is important is intensity and effort is what ultimately you can control. And going into a B tier race, there's a level, there's a gear. Imagine you're in fifth gear and there's a sixth gear and you don't put yourself in sixth gear. You're not letting yourself do that.
Hmm.
You're conserving. You could go faster. That's the whole point. And if you in the middle of a B tier race go into that sixth gear, you have to at that moment accept that it will then detrimentally affect your next A tier race because
Yeah.
that's the
It,
whole
it
point.
will fry your central nervous system
Yeah,
like
that's the
fully.
whole point of a B tier race is a
Yeah.
B tier race can be put in the middle of a prep into an A tier race because you are still saving a gear for that next for that next for that next race. And that's kind of the way I think you got to think about it because from my experience and seeing professional athletes, you can only truly peak 3 times usually in a year. It depends on the sport and the race and whatever. But from what I've seen, yeah, most people struggle to peak more than 2 to 3 times. And so you just need to be calculated with like how often you really, really are willing to like push yourself to that level. And I think to segue it back to what Tash has been working on and thinking about all her past races and high rocks races, her half marathon races, the number one thing that's held her back is when she was on the start line and she had to ask herself, how bad do I want this? She never wanted it bad enough. And
Yeah.
so that's where we're starting on day one this week.
Hmm.
This week is day one is you need to put yourself into the mental state before you even do the training, the prep, the weeks leading into it. How bad do I want this? Because when you are on that start line, if you're in the same mental spot you've been for the last 3 high rocks races and the last 2 half marathons that you've done, and you don't really want it that bad, well, then you're not going to tap into that
Hmm.
that level. And keep in mind, we're not A tier flatlining, but that's the kind of thing that Tash is held back by sometimes is that fight, that anger, and that competitiveness
Yes.
that some people innately have and
Yeah.
some people need to think about before they start the prep. You know people in your life, anyone listening, who will fucking bite their own arm off before they lose, right? Me.
You.
I also know a lot of people who are the opposite and they tell themselves sometimes it's like who cares? Who cares? Well, you keep telling yourself that, then you're not going to end up having the fight and the grit to
Yeah.
to fight when you need to. So start building some of that internal fight inside of you. Start building that dialogue where it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm willing to really, really fight because I've sacrificed all this time and work and put in all this effort and money or whatever it may be. So use that going into the prep, and don't go into that race every time without this energy that you just are willing to do whatever it takes.
Yeah. And my mindset has shifted a lot actually as well, because I used to just like say I do high rocks because, oh, like, yeah, I just do it for fun kind of thing. But this year I'm like, no, like, I'm an athlete and I want to be an athlete. And that's why I'm training this way and I'm getting coached properly and eating the right things, fueling my workouts the right way, getting enough sleep. So many things go into it. And yeah, I'm just excited to share this journey from someone who didn't come from athletic background, now trying to become more of an athlete, if that makes sense. Because you don't see that a lot. You see a lot of people who played sports their whole life, rugby, they did D1 whatever, right? And then now they're suddenly a great athlete and they do marathons and this and that. But like, I literally came from nothing. So this, I hope, will reach the right people and inspire you to maybe try something new, maybe train a little bit harder, maybe invest in a coach, because you are capable of so much more than you think and your body will adapt, but you need to be consistent and understand that it's going to take a long time to get there. All right. So I think we'll leave that episode there. If you've listened this far, thank you for listening. We covered a lot of stuff. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an insight into what, we've been doing, how we're trying to approach life a little bit differently this year, and, staying positive, surrounding ourselves with the right people, making the right goals to, help us achieve what we want in life. And at the end of the day, this is a podcast for high achievers. And I hope that the people listening to this also can reflect and think about something in their head at the same time that they're hearing us talk about this stuff and really want to achieve a certain thing. Because at the end of the day, we have one life, and why would you not try to make the most of it? So,
And nothing fires me up more than people telling me their goals and their dreams. Nothing, literally nothing. I can't think of a single thing. If you tell me something that you want and you care about and you're serious, I actually want people to tell me, because I will try and do my best to support you and help you get to that point, because that's what ultimately gives me purpose. And I think anyone knows it's better to do it together than do it alone.
a wise man once said,
I know you're going to screw this up.
I know. A wise man once said that if I get some cake, I'm going to give you a piece of that cake. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I did not. I thought you were going to say go far alone, go further together.
You know who I heard say that?
Yeah, it's Fonzie.
Ian Fonz.
Yeah. It's classic.
But it makes sense. Like, I want to help other people succeed. I want to help other people just be like more positive and approach life in a different way. So if you ever want to talk or, just literally about anything, always reach out. We'll always get back to you. And we want to create the biggest community for high achievers. And we're hoping that this year we can grow Free Speed to be something way bigger than we ever thought it could be. So if you stuck with us this far, thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys. And
we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next time on the Free Speed podcast.
Bye.
See ya.
You want some of my cake?